Then you move to strike the last word. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you and Ranking Member Mr. Pallone, Mr. Pitts, Mr. Green, and really all the members of this committee. From the onset, this has been a strong bipartisan effort. I don't think there's anybody here that I haven't talked with about this, as well as, quite frankly, hundreds of members of Congress and literally tens of thousands of families throughout the nation who have weighed in on this issue. I do want to say that what we see is our nation is going through a transition in terms of how we deal with mental illness. We have really, hopefully, are moving away from the era where mental illness is something we make jokes about, where we just throw people in jail, where we are complacent to walking past them as the homeless, forgotten ones. We let them rot away with their chronic illnesses, or we dump them back to families and say, good luck, take care of this person, and we won't give you any information beyond that. This has been a learning process for all of us through this, with scientists weighing in, psychiatrists, psychologists, people from NIMH, CDC. I mean, across the board, many people weighed in. And it's because of the work of this committee, sometimes we've been woken up by tragedies, whether they involve one person or many, but also we've woken up the nation with continuing to respond to this. By the way, I have many editorial writers across the nation have written in on this, and Mr. Chairman, I'd appreciate it if we can include in the record about 40 of the editorials written across the nation that want to...
Without objection.
Thank you. And I do want to say this too. This is an emotional struggle. I don't think there's anybody in Congress who is not 1 or 2 degrees separated from some tragedy. I know many people here have confidentially talked to me about things that they face in their own family, their own relatives, their own friends. I have no doubt, and I can see the faces of those people sitting here today that have lost a loved one, or they have a loved one in jail, or some other impending disaster from their problems. We have to make sure that we no longer see mental illness as something that we treat as a pariah, that we are afraid of it, that we handle by having the police come and take people away. You know, when we closed all those hospitals that were built in the 1800s, at that time, led by a nurse, Dorothea Dix, who said, if we stop putting people in jail and treat them with compassion, we can turn things around for the mentally ill. And so that movement went on for nearly a century, until we found out that in the 1980s, 90s, and now, the biggest psychiatric hospitals in this country are the jails in every county in America. The biggest ones being the Los Angeles County Jail and the Cook County Jail, where people are subject to tremendous, awful abuse, the kind of thing that we would disdain in a third world nation. Not only abuse from other prisoners, but just the whole mess is there. We have woken up as a nation to mental illness, and I want people to know that this is a substantive bill that, Mr. Chairman, we worked on the last couple months with coming up with a substitute here, an amendment in nature of a substitute, still leaves this bill very strong. We never wavered from our commitment to make a change in how we handle mental illness. We never wavered from our commitment to put leadership at the top with an Assistant Secretary of Mental Health, to clarify the issues with HIPAA that keep family members, loving family members, being involved. We never wavered from our commitment to say we need to put money behind our message here, to have more psychologists, more psychiatrists, more people who could actually do the treatment while we have a huge shortage. We never wavered from our commitment to clean up our grant programs so they really are focusing on evidence-based care. We worked on consensus language, but all that was necessary and important. I would be remiss if I didn't also thank Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson of Texas, herself a psychiatric nurse from the VA who has been a leader in this throughout. And I want to also thank members who have become friends in this whole process as we have shared our passion for this together. I hope that members will unanimously adopt this amendment in nature of substitute. It keeps a lot of things intact and adds a lot of power behind this. And finally, to every family member, and the tens of thousands who reached out to me, who stepped forward to share their story and to be a voice of change, my deepest gratitude to all of you for your courageous stand to help families in mental health crisis. I yield back.